and was sitting on them, probably sitting on them with that beautiful apple bottom. Like, she's just got a perfect butt. I bet you Leah's butt, but Rachel's butt is probably just incredible. And now she's sitting on those gods. And you're just like, I wish I, well, she could sell those gods on eBay at this point. Hey everyone, and welcome to Joel Reads Bible. I'm Joel, and I'm reading the Bible so you don't have to. We've read the first 30 chapters of Genesis at this point, which I recorded quite a while ago for me, and it just takes a long time to post them. I'm only posting 2 videos a week, every Wednesday and Sunday, or Sunday and Wednesday chronologically. So we're here at chapter 31, and we're going to get right into it because it's really long. This one's going to be 55 verses, so strap in. It might be a little bit long, but hopefully there's a story here that's interesting. Before we do, I do want to recap that Jacob had tried to trick Laban by making a lot of the sheep spotted and streaked. I think Laban was also tricking Jacob by taking all the spotted and streaked sheep that were already there and hiding them on him. I think that's what's going on. Your guess is as good as mine, so let's see what happens next. Genesis chapter 31. Jacob heard that Laban's sons were saying, "Jacob has taken everything our father owned and has gained all his wealth from what belonged to our father." See, even that first sentence is just so redundant. I wonder if in the actual Hebrew, it's not as redundant, but when you translate it, it's just word for word, it's actually quite redundant. And Jacob noticed that Laban's attitude towards him was not what it had been. Then the Lord said to Jacob, "Go back to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I will be with you." So Jacob sent word to Rachel and Leah to come out to the fields where his flocks were. He said to them, "I see that your father's attitude towards me is not what it was before," as the narrator said, "but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I've worked for your father with all my strength, yet your father has cheated me by changing my wages 10 times. We haven't heard about that yet. However, God has not allowed him to harm me. If he said, 'The speckled ones will be your wages,' then all the flocks gave birth to speckled young. And if he said, 'The streaked ones will be your wages,' then all the flocks bore streaked young. So God has taken away your father's livestock and has given them to me." As we read in the previous chapter, and again, this whole thing is confusing me. Jacob made a magical potion out of bark or something like that for the sheep to drink from, and when they drank from it, they got spots and streaks. So is God really involved in this at all? But then again, I guess there's a difference between speckled and streaked. So anyway, there's a little bit of magic at play. And once again, God has chosen a favorite in this story. And that favorite is Jacob, which is interesting because I'm pretty sure Laban is also a Hebrew. So we have God playing favorites for people groups. But once you get into the people group, he narrows his scope to a specific person. All you can do is hope that it's you. "In the breeding season, I once had a dream in which I looked up and saw that the male goats mating with the flock were streaked, speckled, or spotted. The angel of God said to me in the dream, 'Jacob.' I answered, 'Here I am.' And he said, 'Look up and see that all the male goats mating with the flock are streaked, speckled, or spotted. For I have seen all that Laban has been doing to you. And he has been doing stuff to Jacob. He screwed him around, making him marry Leah when Leah's definitely not attractive enough. Because Jacob's a babe. He doesn't have to be marrying ugly girls. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar, where you put oil on a rock, and where you made a vow to me. Now leave this land at once and go back to your native land." So what is his native land at this point? My memory is, like I say, this is a while after I read the previous chapters. Is his native land Canaan? Because I think that he's in Padan Aram right now, which is the land of his father, right? And so is his native land, is it supposed to be Canaan? Because Canaan is where they're aliens. So then Rachel and Leah replied, "Do we still have any share in the inheritance of our father's estate? What's going to happen with the cash? Like, we'll go, but what's going to happen with the cash? Does he not regard us as foreigners? Not only has he sold us, but he has used up what was paid for us. He didn't even keep the 14 years you worked for us, which I don't know how he's supposed to keep that. Maybe save the money he would have spent on a helper or for another slave and give that to Rachel and Leah later. I don't know how their system works. Surely all the wealth that God took away from our father belongs to us and our children. So do whatever God has told you. They will turn on their father. No problem. And I think it's kind of fair because Laban he's lousy. I'm not a fan of these tricksters, but then again, Jacob's a trickster too. Their allegiance is with Jacob. I mean, Jacob's going to live a lot longer than Laban probably. And also, if somebody can lay down the lovin' like Jacob can, okay, yeah, you're going to be loyal to him, right? Like, screw dad. This guy, he does it for us. Then Jacob put his children and his wives on camels, and he drove all his livestock ahead of him, along with all the goods he had accumulated in Padan Aram, to go to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. So yeah, we're calling Canaan Jacob's native land. And maybe that's because that's where Jacob was born. There's a little bit of a contradiction there because it's sort of his native land, but it's also not really his people's land. Let's not get bogged down in that. When Laban had gone to shear his sheep, Rachel stole her father's household gods. Oh, I think this is probably not going to be a good thing. Moreover, Jacob deceived Laban, the Aramean, by not telling him he was running away. So Jacob was supposed to tell Laban that he was running away. I'm running away now. Like, what's the point? Okay, well, I'm caught you. You're not supposed to tell the guy you're running away from. That's how you get a head start, Jacob, is by not telling. So obviously, it's not really a deception, is it? It's just like properly running away. I don't know if this is a world where everyone's like, yeah, sorry to interrupt. I know you're busy. I was just going to run away. So if you wanted to try to catch me, do it now because I'm just about to run. So he fled with all he had, and crossing the river, he headed for the hill country of Gilead. I love the name Gilead. It's what a beautiful word, Gilead. On the third day, Laban was told that Jacob had fled. That's a good head start, Jacob. Well done. Taking his relatives with him, he pursued Jacob for 7 days and caught up with him in the hill country of Gilead. Then God came to Laban, the Aramean. Why do we have to keep mentioning his race now? By the way, they're all Aramean. They're family. Unless Laban's married in, I can't remember. And you know what? I don't even care. Then God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream at night and said to him, be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad. Interesting. There's some things that are neither good nor bad. That's nice to know. It's nice to know that there's stuff in the world that is kind of like amoral. Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country of Gilead. When Laban overtook him, and Laban and his relatives camped there too. Then Laban said to Jacob, what have you done? You've deceived me, and you've carried off my daughters like captives in war, because that's what you do with women during war. Everyone does it, and it's not wrong. Why did you run off secretly and deceive me? Why didn't you tell me so I could send you away with joy and singing to the music of tambourines and harps? Is he being deceitful himself, saying that he was going to do all these things? Or did Jacob miss out on a big celebration? Because that sounds like it would have been a lot of fun. You didn't even let me kiss my grandchildren and my daughters goodbye. Since when do these people care about kids? Since when do they care about anyone in their family? Half the time you just send them to die in the desert. What are you talking about? You have done a foolish thing. This sounds like this is bad talking. I don't think God said say stuff that's neither good or bad. This sounds bad. I have the power to harm you. That's a failed threat. I have the power to harm you. But last night The God of your father said to me, be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good nor bad. Now you have gone off because you long to return to your father's house. But why did you steal my gods? You have your main God. Why did you steal my gods? Jacob answered Laban, I was afraid because I thought, by the way, these guys all speak with slight British accents. That's just the accent that people had in the Bible times. I was afraid because I thought you would take your daughters away from me by force. But if you find anyone who has your gods, he shall not live. In the presence of our relatives, see for yourself whether there is anything of yours here with me, and if so, take it. Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen the gods. And this sucks because Rachel's the pretty one. Rachel's the favorite. This is what's so fun about these folk stories, is they're finally getting creative. You know what I mean? Ooh, let's have her steal some, I assume, little statues or something like that, maybe big ones. They're probably small because you would see the big ones. Ooh, or maybe it's just imaginary, because in our world, gods are imaginary. So maybe in this story, Rachel brought the gods in her heart. That's where she had God living inside her heart. And then, Laban's going to come and say, does anyone have God in their heart? And of course, we know from a lot of Christian stories that you always have to admit that you have God in your heart or else you'll go to hell. So Laban went into Jacob's tent and into Leah's tent and into the tent of 2 maidservants, but he found nothing. Ooh, I love that it's always the last place you look. This is great storytelling. I wonder if this was actually literally how it happened. Just for suspense's sake, they didn't check Rachel's tent till the last. I wonder if God orchestrated that so that it would make a good story in the Bible. After he came out of Leah's tent, he entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household gods, we know that, and put them inside her camel's saddle. They are physical. And was sitting on them. She's hiding them. Clever girl. Probably sitting on them with that beautiful apple bottom. Like, she's just got a perfect butt. I bet you Leah's butt, but Rachel's butt is probably just incredible. And now she's sitting on those gods. And you're just like, I wish well, she could sell those gods on eBay at this point. Laban searched through everything in the tent, but found nothing. Opposed to other dads, he's not going to be playing with his daughter's butt. Rachel said to her father, don't be angry, my lord, that I cannot stand up in your presence. I'm having my period. So he searched but could not find the household gods. If she's not lying about her period, those gods are going to be furious because we haven't gotten to that point yet. This God is disgusted by periods, and I can only assume that the other gods, which are just little statues, I assume, because someone can sit on them, they're probably not going to be that keen on it either. Jacob was angry and took Laban to task. What is my crime, he asked Laban. What sin have I committed that you hunt me down? I forgot the British accent. Now that you have searched through my goods, what have you found that belongs to your household? Put it here in front of your relatives and mine, and let them judge between the two of us. I have been with you for 20 years now. Your sheep and your goats have not miscarried, nor have I eaten rams from your flocks. I did not bring you animals torn by wild beasts. I bore the loss myself, and you demanded payment from me for whatever was stolen by day or night. This is my situation. The heat consumed me in the daytime, and the cold at night. And sleep fled from my eyes. It was like this for 20 years, and I was in your household. I worked for you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your flocks, and you changed my wages 10 times, not recorded. Of course, this is the second time he's mentioned it, so it's probably true. It's got to be true. It's definitely true. The God of my father, the God of Abraham, the fear of Isaac. Is this a new title for God? The fear of Isaac? Because there's always new developing, God Most High was an older one. Now it's the fear of Isaac. Even though that they have the same plot a lot of the time, they at least changed, Abram becomes Abraham. God becomes fear of Isaac. They at least, this is interesting, I guess. Anyway, this is a new story, so I should stop making fun of that. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had not been with me, you would surely have sent me away empty-handed. But God has seen my hardship and the toil of my hands, and last night he rebuked you. I love Jacob's cadence. I love the way he speaks. I love his accent. I think it's so effective. Actually, I'm going to make Laban a little bit more of an evil villain character. Laban answered Jacob, "The women are my daughters, the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks." Ooh, so now, we know that women are property, but we thought that Jacob had worked so that those women were now his property, and that his children, and then the slave children, Bilhah or Bilhah or whatever, her kids and whatever, were all belonging to Jacob. But Laban's taken them back. "All you see is mine. Yet what can I do today about the daughters of mine, or about the children they have borne? Come now, let us make a covenant, you and I, and let it serve as a witness between us." Don't do it, Jacob. Don't make the covenant with Laban. He's a bad guy. Can't you see he's an evil villain, just the way he talks? So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. He loves to do this. He got out some oil, and he just put oil on a rock. It doesn't say that yet, but it's probably going to happen. He said to his relatives, "Gather some stones." So they took stones and piled them in a heap, and they ate there by the heap. Laban called it Jegar Sahadutha, and Jacob called it Galeed. Can't agree on a name. Can you guys please just get together on the name? You're doing a covenant here. Just choose one name and make it Galeed, because as I've said before, it's a lot easier to pronounce. Laban said, This heap is a witness between you and me today. That is why it's called Galeed. It was also called Mizpah. So this has three names. It's called Jaeger Zahudutha, whatever. It's called Galeed, and it's also called Mitzpah. So take your pick. It could be any of the three, whatever. But it's called Mitzpah because he said, "May the Lord keep watch between you and me when we are away from each other. If you mistreat my daughters, or if you take any wives beside my daughters, even though no one is with us, remember that God is a witness between you and me." I find it fascinating that all of a sudden a man can't marry more daughters. He's got the two, and then he has at least slept with the slaves. But I think previously, when you sleep with someone, that's what marriage is. So now he's don't take any more wives, just have my daughters. This polygamy is it starting to be frowned upon at this point? They're already taking it away in chapter 31. We were enjoying it so much. Laban also said to Jacob, "Here is this heap, and here is this pillar I have set up between you and me. This heap is a witness." How can a heap be a witness? How can a heap witness anything? It's a heap of stones. There must be a second meaning for a witness. It's not like a witness in court. "This heap is a witness, and this pillar is a witness that I will not go past this heap to your side to harm you, and that you will not go past this heap and this pillar to my side to harm me. May the God of Abraham, the God of Nahor, and the God of their father judge between us." So Jacob took an oath in the name of the fear of his father Isaac. He offered a sacrifice there in the hill country and invited his relatives to a meal. After they had eaten, they spent the night there. Early the next morning, Laban kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them, and he left and returned home. We did that in record time. Guys, leave me a comment and congratulate me for finishing this in less than like half an hour. That was a fun story. I don't know what's going to happen with these gods. It's reminding me of in Lord of the Rings, the one little hobbit, whichever one it was, got the crystal ball thingy and just like had it, and then it comes back to haunt them. I feel like that's what's going to happen here. If there are these little gods which now have a little bit of period blood on them, that's rude. That's rude. I have a feeling that God, the main one, some would say a hero, some would say villain of this story, isn't going to like just having these alternative gods kicking around. So we'll see what happens there. I guess I didn't really make too many jokes about what was happening in this story. There's not really any great, huge statements being made one way or another. And I think we're just hearing these lesser stories. We got to get to some of these bigger, more main stories. Then we can get a little bit more aggressive with the narrative. If you are enjoying this series, please subscribe, ring the bell, like this video. It does help. These long videos, I've noticed, don't get as many views as some of my short videos. So please watch the whole video and like these videos and enjoy them, because they're really the full version of the Bible. It's really what you want to be watching. The shorts are fine, but the longs, this is where the money is, baby. We'll see you next time for chapter 32. Until then, sayonara.